This tape is a copyrighted material of Financial Lifestyle Strategies Incorporated. Any duplication of any type is prohibited without the expressed written consent of Financial Lifestyle Strategies Incorporated. This tape is intended for internal use and training purposes only. The opinions of the speaker are not reflective of World Financial Group or World Group Securities.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today, we are going to talk about some very, very fun and important things in terms of growing your business and a fundamental. I think probably the most important skill you'll teach somebody, matter of fact, I don't think it is, I know it is, the most important skill you're going to teach somebody in our business is how to set up appointments. The person with the most appointments is definitely going to win here over time because appointments builds repetition. Appointments are learning experiences, they're growth experiences. It's where you build the muscles of reflection in our business. When people ask you questions, eventually responses become reflexive. And if you can teach somebody to set up appointments, if you can get someone who believes they can set up appointments and they believe they can get a result, they're going to take actions. Everything in our business is driven by our belief that we can get a result. I've said this before, but I'll point it out to you again. If I right now sat down with you and said, listen, here's how you do it, and everybody you talk to is going to say yes, you'd be compelled to go talk to everybody. If I said everyone you talk to is going to say, yes, I want to buy, yes, I want to recruit, boy, I'm dying to be in business with you, you'd go, everybody you touch, you'd go run and touch hundreds and hundreds of people to get a given result. And you wouldn't worry about how busy you were. You wouldn't worry about what they would think about you because that's not an issue. I already told you for sure they're going to like what you have to say. You wouldn't have any obstacles in terms of your success. And let me ask you a question. If you knew you were going to get a yes, would you talk to more people? And of course, the answer to that is yes. So what that means is what holds us back is our fear of rejection, our fear that we're not going to get a result. So there's a direct link or a connection between one's belief that they can get a result, get a yes, and their desire to act. And so the better you personally get at believing you can get a result, the better you get at getting a result. And then, of course, as a leader, having the ability to teach people to do that so that they can act independent of you is the key in leverage. It's the key in building a business that will provide you lifestyle. Not only in our business do we have the potential to make good money and great residual income and have ownership and lifestyle, and probably more importantly, we change people's lives, we strengthen families, but really the most important thing that we have here above everything is the fact that we can create lifestyle for ourselves and others. Time, because you can't, money's important, but if I had to work 6 days a week, 7 days a week for 10 years, I don't know that that's worth it. I'm willing to sacrifice some time for a short period of time, a temporary sacrifice for long-term benefit, absolutely. But the reality here is that you can't spend all your money. The thing that you can never get back, you can get back money. You can get back a lot of things, but you can't get back time. And what this business will give you, if you're willing to invest and front load time like a mutual fund, it'll compound if you do it right. Now, if you don't do it right, those shares, those people that you recruit, the shares of your business don't become more valuable. You obviously want those shares, the people you recruit, the mutual fund of your business, for those shares to compound independent of you, so that as you put your money in the mutual fund of your business, it grows without you. And in the money of your business, the currency that we pay people with here is our time. And that's very serious to me. That's why I ask people to set a standard and deliver on it, because I'm paying you with something much more valuable than my money, because I can get my money back. I'm paying you with my time. And so if I'm going to give you my time away from my family, I know you feel this way too. I expect you to act. I expect you to deliver on the standard. And if you don't, I'm not going to work with you anymore. There's going to be consequences. So today we're going to talk about getting results and especially setting up appointments. So let's talk specifically for a little bit here about the keys of setting up appointments when we've got someone in our business ourselves to teach people this, and obviously ourselves. In the business format system, it talks about mastering the invitation. The first thing you've got to learn is what we call the scenario of disaster. Scenario of disaster is real simple, that your enthusiasm creates curiosity. The other person asks questions. You attempt to answer questions. You answer them wrong. They jump to conclusions, and the result will cause failure. And so the key thing here is that in every conversation, one person's asking questions and one person is answering them. We talk about conversation control. There's an unconscious setting in conversations, and that is someone's going to ask and someone's going to answer. If you watch conversations, that's how they work. Typically, the person you're talking to is going to attempt to wrestle conversation from you. They don't know they're doing it, but they do by asking you questions. Then you fall into the trap of answering questions, and you'll lose. You've got to be able to Always answer a question with a question. Finishing, never finish with a statement. Always finish by asking a question. That's how you have control of a conversation. And so you've got to know what to say in order to control what they're going to say. And so we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about, first off, the purpose of making a phone call, because this is very critical. Number one, the purpose of making an invitation is to set an appointment. It's not to make them a client. It's not even really to interest them. You've got to have one serious outcome in our business, which is that you're calling to set up an appointment. And beyond that, remove yourself from any other outcomes. One of the pressures you put on yourself is, boy, they've got to buy, or I've got to recruit them, or things of that nature. And the truth of the matter is that is not the case. The case is we just want to do enough appointments and let the chips fall where they may. Our business is good enough and what we do is valuable enough and important enough that if you talk to 10 people, you're going to get a vast percentage of them, maybe 70% of them, to say yes to something. And so the key thing is separate yourself from outcome. When you're calling people, one of the fears you have is, boy, I don't want to put this person in an odd position. I don't want them to feel pressured. I don't want them to feel obligated. I don't want to any degree, ruin my relationship with them over this business. And you'll do that if you really want to get something from them. But if you really come from a place, I learned early on that I've got one outcome, which is to tell them our story. And then let the chips fall where they may, so they don't feel pressured to buy something. They don't feel like I'm trying to shove a business down their throat, even though they need it. I'm not going to do that to them. I want to separate myself from outcome, and people will sense that you don't have an outcome of need. If people sense you want something from them, they become defensive. They become concerned about it. So I've always had one outcome, which is to get an appointment and then to tell our story. And then I'm separated from any other outcomes. Tell a story, and if we can help you financially, great. If you can refer me some people, great. If you want to come into business and win with us, that's terrific too. But I'm not concerned with that outcome. I'm concerned with just doing enough appointments because the business works well enough that I'm going to get results anyways. And that really set me free. My fears in this business initially were, what's everyone going to think? I don't want people to see me coming and think, oh boy, here he comes. What's he want this time? And so the thing that set me free was when someone told me, hey, have no outcome that way. Just have an appointment. Just have an outcome for an appointment and let the chips fall where they may. And boy, it just set me free. I started setting up hundreds and hundreds of appointments. And what I found out was the outcomes were going to come out the way they were anyways, because we're looking for people who are looking for us. And I can't say the right thing to the wrong person. There's nothing I could say. However, you can say the wrong thing to the right person. And so we're going to talk about the right things to say, because when we run into the right people, we want to know what to say to them. So number one, be brief. The purpose of an invitation is to set an appointment. If your phone call is more than 2 minutes long, once you get to the point of asking them to do things, it's now turned into a presentation and you've lost. This is an invitation. If you want to look at it like a movie, when you go to the movies, before the actual motion picture begins, there's usually 4 or 5 of what we call trailers, and they're usually between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, and they're simply to entice you to want to come to the movie when it comes out. It's almost like setting up an appointment with you beforehand, and that's what the invitation is. It's the trailer. Don't show the movie. Show the movie one-on-one, and then just separate yourself from outcome when you get there and let the movie dictate, and their situation dictate whether they enjoy it or want to participate. So your job is to give them the trailer, which is just enough to set up the appointment. Number two, be yourself by practicing until the invitation becomes natural. One thing you certainly don't want to do is, if you have a certain way of speaking to people, of communicating them, whether it's certain words you use or a certain dialogue with them, you don't want the people you're contacting all of a sudden see a change in you. You want them to feel like you're just like you were before. And the only way that the scripts will become natural is if they become a part of you, which means you've got to say them over and over and over again, maybe 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 times until they become natural, until it becomes a part of you. It's going to sound awkward. So make sure you practice it enough before you make the first phone call. And that only takes maybe 15 minutes to practice a script 20 or 30 times. Third, develop your listening skills and push the buttons of needs and qualities. Make sure you're listening to people when you ask questions and you're looking to find out where you can help them. Our business is about solving people's financial problems. Most companies sell products. A mortgage guy's trying to sell you a mortgage. A stockbroker's trying to sell you an investment. An insurance agent's trying to sell you some insurance. And because we do everything, when we sit down with a client, we use our listening skills to find out where they need help. And maybe it's more income. Maybe it's lifestyle. Maybe it's personal growth. Maybe it's being somebody. Maybe it's just getting out of debt. Maybe it's they need tax advantages. But the great thing about our business, because we have everything, it's a grab bag. It's just a matter of sitting down. Our business is a business of attraction, not recruiting or selling. And the way you attract somebody is sitting down and finding out what it is they need and want in their life, and then showing them how our business can get it for them. And you do that through asking questions, using your listening skills. Number 4, ask people what they have going on before you ask them to come meet with you. So in other words, before I usually get to asking them for my commitment, I'll say, hey, what do you have going on Monday night? because they're going to say, no, well, nothing, I don't know. They think you're calling to go to a game or grab a pizza or have a conversation, and so they'll leave their schedule open for you. And once they've said they've got nothing going, then it's very easy for you to go, oh, well, let me tell you why I was calling. Blankety, blankety, blank. Because the number one objection you're going to get from people is time. They're going to say, oh, I got to check with the wife. We may have Little League practice, or I may have a meeting. And so they don't really have that objection, but that's what they'll use to let you down easily. And so I want to eliminate. I've known over 8 or 9 years, learned from my mistakes, frankly, here, that 90%, 95% of the time when someone objects, they won't object directly to the appointment. They'll object based on a time concern. And usually it's a lie, by the way. It's usually not really a time concern. It's just the easier way of letting you down or delaying you. So if before they know what you want, you ask them for what their schedule's like that night, they'll leave it open, and then they're really defenseless to say no to you. It's very difficult to reject somebody one-on-one. Just no, I'm not interested. Most people are interested. They're just afraid of what you want from them. And then just remember the translations. There's bad words and good words. A bad word is a meeting. A good words are get together. Could you is a bad word. What I would like you to do sounds much better. Manager doesn't sound as good as friend of mine. Sometime is not as good as asking for a specific hour. Instead of saying, let's get together sometime Tuesday, you want to say, let's get together at 6. Instead of saying, I want to tell you what I'm doing, say, I want to show you. Instead of saying our business, you may want to say some ideas we're working with. So when you hear me say some of these words, you may want to substitute the new words for them simply based on the good words and the bad words, okay? So very much looking forward to teaching you these scripts and hopefully you enjoying the process of being great at the words. Again, calls are no longer than 2 minutes. One thing about making a phone call you should know, it's real simple. Every conversation is won by the person who is more certain. The more certain person wins every single conversation, period. If I'm more certain than you that we must and need to get together than you are that we aren't, that it isn't important, I will win the conversation. And so you've got to go into each conversation certain about your outcome, that you are going to get an appointment. You're not calling, a mistake person makes. They're not calling to inquire as to whether or not that person wants to get together. You're calling to set up the appointment. And that's a big distinction. I'm assuming when we recruited you that the people you know or that you're in contact with like and trust you already. So there's no people are willing to sit down to listen to you for an hour. If you have any credibility at all with them, they're certainly willing to listen. They may not be thrilled about it, but most people are certainly willing to listen. And many people are thrilled about it, by the way. But so I'm not calling to inquire, hey, would you like to get together? Even though those may be the words I'm using, my outcome, my certainty, my focus is I'm calling to set up the time. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Et cetera, et cetera. You'll hear the words here in a minute, by the way. I got to set a time up to get together with you. That's it. It's not inquiring. Inquiring notates a lack of certainty. And we don't want to notate that to somebody. We want to let them know we're certain and we expect them to get together. Mistake people makes is trying to interest people or recruit them or sell them. Remember, the outcome is to get an appointment only. What is an appointment? An appointment is a sit-down one-on-one with them, which I prefer. This is a one-on-one business supported by a meeting system. Or if you're too busy or they can't make it, then you use a meeting to get together with them. That's an appointment. Next, be in a peak state when you make phone calls. I really believe that it's better to make a phone call standing up. You're in a stronger physiology. Your breathing is better. You're more certain. You're more planted in the way that you call. And so I like to stand up, but you don't have to be that way. And then when you call, put yourself in a state. I want to recommend that you put yourself in a state of gratitude on what you can give this person. That's what you're thinking. How can I serve this person? How can I help them? Our business is really about helping enough other people get what they want, and as an end result, you're going to get what you want. Put yourself in a state of, many times before an appointment or phone call, say, Lord, put me in a situation where I can help these people. Show me the way where I can serve them and help them, because I know most people, 99+% of them, need what we do to some degree on some level. And so I want to put myself in a state of gratitude of serving them. And remember, reminding yourself before you make the call that you're giving them the gift of an opportunity to take a look at what we do, and that's it. Don't have any other outcomes other than the appointment, and take a look and tell our story and see where it leads. Be very certain when you throw a punch. You know, when you look at Lennox Lewis, he just beat Mike Tyson. I used to use Mike Tyson, but when Lennox Lewis throws a punch, man, it's with a purpose. It's with vicious intentions. When he jabs at you, man, it's to hurt you. It's to make a difference. And so when you're making that phone call, throw the punch with certainty. Be very clear on what you're going to say and what you want to do. And most of the time, it's going to be an obstacle as their time. So again, make sure that you're telling them, hey, what do you have going on that night? And we're going to talk about a bunch of things here. A rule of thumb when you're calling somebody, if they ask you one question, the likelihood of you getting together with them is 75%. Okay? If they ask 2 questions, it drops to maybe 20% likelihood. If they ask 3, you're not going to get together with them. So just remember that. You better control when they ask you that first question, you got to respond with an answer plus a question. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And if people ask you how things are going, say booming, unbelievable, better than expected, and just play offense. That's the number one thing, is to remember to play offense with people when you call them. Okay? Let's talk now about some specific scripts when we call people, and how to get these things done in a real professional way. You'd be amazed by the simplicity of the way that we make phone calls. Let's talk about, first off, calling in your own warm market. When you're calling people and you want to get together with them and tell them about what we're doing, there's a variety of scripts you can use, and I'd like you to play this tape over and over again, and I'm going to pretend that I'm calling somebody here, and I'm role-playing as if I just hired you, and I'm going to ask you that when you hear this tape, hear me say it, stop the tape, and role-play it back, then play the tape again, so that every time I give you a script, you master it. So stop the tape after you hear the first script here, okay? So if I'm calling somebody, the first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, if I'm calling Steve, hey, Steve, how are you? And I'm going to make small talk, and small talk may take 20 seconds, it may take 3 minutes, it may take 5 minutes, but small talk, how's the kids, how's the family, sort of building rapport and connecting and reconnecting with them again. And then I'm going to say, hey, listen, by the way, what do you have going on Monday night? And they're going to go, well, nothing, why? You go, well, let me tell you why I was calling. Listen, I wanted to call you and let you know that I just started with a new firm on a part-time basis. I'm really excited about the company and what we do for families, and I'm going through a probationary period right now, but I'm hoping to go full-time with this company in the next 6 months. I'm working with Ed Milet, he's a friend of mine, and I was hoping you could help me out. You'll help me out, won't you? Oh, yeah, man, what's the deal? That's what he's going to say back to you. I guess so. I gave Ed your name and number as a reference. Do me a favor. Ed's probably going to call you the next few days. When he does, please do whatever you can to take the call. If you miss the call, please make it the first call that you return. It's really important to me to impress Ed. Can I count on you? Thanks. I got to go. Let's be sure and get together soon. Talk to you then. And that's the phone script that I use when I'm going to be setting up a reference call. And then the leader, which we'll go through in a little while, is going to call on that reference. And when they call the reference, many times in that reference, something will come up in the conversation that will lead to a need that person has in terms of getting together for an overview financially, or to get together with us for maybe starting in business. And so many times that is going to be the case when you call folks. And I think that's important for you to know, that just sometimes it's as simple as leaving that script. Let's talk about phone script number 2. Hey, John, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. Build rapport. How are the kids? How's the family? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm going to say, hey, John, what do you have going on Monday night? Oh, nothing. Why? What's going on with you? Well, John, look, I was wondering if you'd help me out. I'm going into business with some friends of mine, and I'd like to get some feedback from people I know and respect. You'll help me out, won't you? And obviously he'll probably say yes, or he'll say a variety of other objections I'll give you in a minute. He'll say, yeah, sure, why, what is it? And you'll say, at this point, what I'd like to do is sit down with you and Mary, show you what I'm doing, have you ask a lot of questions. Fair enough? Great. So what evening will be best for you and Mary? 6 or 8 be better. And that's what we want him to say. 6 or 8 be better. Give him an alternative of choice. What we don't want to say is anything other than those words. So again, John, I was wondering if you could help me out. I'm going into business with some friends of mine, and I'd like to get some feedback from some people I know and respect. Would you help me out? Sure, man. What is it? You got it. No problem. At this point, what I'd like to do is sit down with you and Mary, show you what I'm doing, and have you ask a lot of questions. Fair enough? Yeah, that's fair. Whatever. Yeah, you got it. Okay, good. So what evening would be best for you and Mary? Good. Monday night, would 6 or 8 be better? And that's scheduled. And when they ask that, they're going to say yes when you say, would you help me out? There's also a couple things they may ask. They may say something like, well, yeah, but what is it? If they say, what is it? You say, what we do is show families how to make and save money. Everybody wants to save money, right? Well, yeah, I guess so. Good. So which day is better, Monday or Wednesday, 6 or 8? The important thing when you get an objection is frankly not that you give this fantastic magical word answer. It's just that you answer it. It's frankly just that you give it an answer, and then you go right back to setting up the appointment. Remember, you're a bulldog. Your certainty is just to set the appointment. Go, yeah, we show people how to make and save money. Everybody wants to do that, right? You finished with a question. Well, yeah, I guess so, sure. So good. What works better, Monday or Wednesday, 6 or 8? The other objection they may say is, well, look, I don't want to buy anything. And the response to that is, oh, I know that, Steve. Asking you to buy anything is not what I want to do. It's the last thing I'd ask you to do. Now, by the way, if you see something that interests you, certainly don't be afraid to pipe up and ask if we can help you. But that's not my outcome. My outcome is to get some training, to have you ask some questions. Again, if you find something you're interested in, there's nothing wrong, and don't be afraid to ask for help. But the bottom line is I'm hoping that you just help me out with my training. Monday or Tuesday, 5 or 8 be better. The thing they may say is, because you are starting a business and you're getting people involved, they could mistake you with one of these, weirdo little deals that are out there. So you want to say, this isn't one. They may ask you, well, yeah, I'll get together with you, but this isn't one of those things, is it? And you say, don't worry, this isn't one of those things. Besides, if it were, I'd count on you to point that out when we meet. So when can we meet? Is Monday or Wednesday better, 6 or 8? So what I want you to do now that you've heard what I just said, I want you to role play it with me. Stop the tape and say, John, what are you doing Monday night? I've got nothing going. Great. John, I was wondering if you could help me out. I'm going into business with some friends of mine. I'd like to get some feedback from people I know and respect. You'll help me out, won't you? At this point, what I'd like to do is sit down with you and Mary, show you what I'm doing, have you ask a lot of questions. Fair enough? Great. So what eating would be best for you and Mary, Monday or Wednesday? Would 6 or 8 be better? If they say, what is it? I don't want to buy anything, or this isn't one of those things, you've got an answer, and you constantly go back to setting up the appointment. Stop the tape and role play it. Okay, we're back. Did you stop the tape? Bet you didn't. Go back and stop the tape. Don't move forward until you've mastered that first script. It's important in mastering it. Calling a friend script number 2. Hey, Mark, how are you? Chit chat, blah, 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 small talk. Hey, man, by the way, what do you got going on Tuesday night? Well, nothing. Why? What do you got going? Well, by the way, maybe you can help me out. I've started a business of my own, and I want to expand the business by training a few people to work with me on a part-time sort of flex-time basis. You could help me out by taking a look at what we do. Then somebody may come to mind. You'll help me out, won't you? Great. What night is better for you, Monday or Tuesday? Is early evening or later best for you? Terrific. I'm marking it down in my calendar. I'll see you then. Let's try that one again. Hi, Mark. How you doing? Chit chat, etc., etc., etc. Hey, what do you have going on Tuesday night? Well, nothing. Why? Well, by the way, maybe you can help me out. I've started a business of my own, and I want to expand the business by training a few people to work with me on a part-time basis. You could help me out by taking a look at what we do. Then somebody may come to mind. You'll help me out, won't you? Great. What night is better for you, Monday or Tuesday? Monday, okay. Is early evening or later best for you? Okay, later, let's say 8-ish. I'll see you then. I'm marking it down on my calendar. I'll see you then. They may ask you, what do we do? If they ask, what do we do? Another response to that may be, we show families how to save money with common sense approaches to become financially secure. Basically, we show families how to get more value for the dollar. Everybody wants to do that, right? Well, yeah, I guess. Now, this may not be true for you, but if it was, it would be silly not to look into it, right? Well, I guess that's true, he says. What is the best time to meet to show you a little bit about what we're all about? And that's script number 2, very basic. So I want you to stop the tape and let's go through that one again. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Chit chat, blah, blah, blah. What do you have going on Tuesday night? By the way, maybe you can help me out. I've started a business of my own. I want to expand the business by training a few people to work with me on a part-time basis. You could help me out to take a look at what we do. Then somebody may come to mind. You'll help me out, won't you? What night is better, Monday or Tuesday? Is early evening or later best for you? So that's the next script. No big deal. Let's go through one more script on calling our warm markets. Hey, Sue, how you doing? Etc., etc., etc. What do you have going on Tuesday night? Nothing. Oh, good. I was wondering if you could help me. I'm going into business for myself, and I'm actually considering a possible career change, and I need your opinion. You'd help me out, wouldn't you? Great. I'm in training, and if you could help me with maybe 45 minutes, not more than an hour on Tuesday, it would really be helpful. Then give me your opinion, ask a lot of questions. I promise you'll learn something so you wouldn't be wasting your time. What day is better for you? Monday at 6 or would Tuesday at 8 be better? Great. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and thanks for your help. And that's the script. One more time. Hey, Sue, I was wondering what was going on. How you doing? Blah, 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 blah. How's the family? Terrific. What do you have going on Tuesday? Nothing. Why? Well, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm going into business for myself, and actually I'm considering a possible career change, and I need your opinion. You'll help me out, won't you? Yeah, I'll help you, sure. I'm in training, and if you could help me with 45 minutes of your time, not more than an hour, it would really be helpful. Then give me your opinion, ask a lot of questions. I promise you'll learn something so you wouldn't be wasting your time. What day is better for you? Monday at 6 or would Tuesday at 8 be better? Great. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and thanks for your help. And then you've got the overcoming objections that we've already gone through in the previous script. And they're always going to ask you the same things. What is it? I don't want to buy anything. Can you tell me about it over the phone is a new one. Sometimes they'll ask. You say, it wouldn't be fair to both you and I if I tried to describe it all over the phone. There's a lot of material I want to share with you to help you get the big picture of things and what I'm doing. Besides, it would really help me with my training. You'll help me, won't you? So what day is better for you? Let me tell you something about getting objections. No matter what somebody says, whether they say, what is it? What do you do? I don't want to buy anything. Doesn't matter what they say. What they're really saying to you when they ask you that question is this legitimate? So whatever you hear from somebody, I don't want you to listen to what they're saying. I want you to hear this. Hey, Please tell me this is credible. Give me some credibility. So a lot of times when they say, what is it? What's the name of the company? You say, well, have you heard of Fidelity or Janus or Washington Mutual? We're partners with many of these companies. We do marketing for them. It's an awesome company, very big company, over a couple $100 billion in assets. Bottom line is I want to get together and tell you the facts. When is better, Monday or Tuesday, 6 or 8? And so you always want to give credibility, and you always want to ask the question back to them about the appointment. Many times telling them physically what we do makes them think of work, and that's sort of something people want to reject, or they'll think in their mind, well, boy, that's not my background. He must have the wrong guy here. And so a lot of times just give them credibility. Just name the companies that we're in business with, or World Financial Group or Transamerica, and just give them credibility enough to set up the appointment. Don't you feel like what you know about the business right now, you're going, boy, it's so hard to explain this over the phone. There's so much to it. There's so many factors. And that's why your outcome is just to get the appointment. It's far too complex to get into over the telephone. And I highly recommend you not attempt to do that, because I think you're going to be running into a scenario of disaster there when you call people if you're trying to tell them what to do over the phone. So I recommend you do not do that. And again, if you do it the right way, you're going to get results. Okay. One other script, of course, is inviting people to get to the open house or our BPM, our corporate overview. They don't all have to be one-on-one appointments. And if we do that, the script is real simple. Hey, Bob, how are you? Et cetera, building rapport, small talk. And then saying, hey, what do you have going on Tuesday night? And they'll hopefully going to say, well, nothing. Why? Why do you ask? Say, well, listen, I need your help. You'll help me out, won't you? Good. I'd like to give you your opinion about a decision I'm making, maybe to make a career change. Are you free on Tuesday about 7 o'clock? Terrific. Great. The company I'm working with will be presenting an overview. I'd like you to attend to be able to see the specifics of the company and help me evaluate my decision. I'll pick you up around maybe 6:30. I need you to have a coat and tie on. That'd be great. Make sure business dress. I really appreciate your willingness to help. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thanks again for your help. And that's a basic phone call to get someone the overview. The other thing is to just flat out call them, say, hey, Steve, how are you? What's going on? Small talk. What do you got going on Tuesday night? Nothing. Why? Say, good. Let me tell you why I'm calling. I've started with a new company. Very excited about what these guys are doing. And I don't know whether there'd be a fit with these guys for you or not, but I definitely think you could at least send me some good people, referrals down the road. But I think it's something you ought to take a look at yourself. I don't know whether it'll be for you. I don't even know whether you're for them. But I definitely think it makes sense you come with me on Tuesday. They're having an open house this Tuesday where they're going to be going to overview of the company, and I want to bring you as my guest. I'll pick you up around, say, 6:30. Is that okay? Terrific. Maybe we'll get something to eat afterwards. Make sure you have a coat and tie on, dressed professionally. Thanks, man. Take care. Let's try one more thing here for scripts. I want to share one with you that's worked very well. It's just shared. It's worked for me, so I'm going to give it to you. Phase 2. I'm in a management training program with a Fortune 500 company that's expanding rapidly here. They're looking for some key people to fill some part-time and full-time positions to help them open some offices. And when I thought about you, I know your background, I know what you've been looking to do in your life. I thought you might be the right person. When would be a good time for us to get together and talk about this? Monday at 6 or Tuesday at 8, and you basically just close for the appointment. Very simple, right to the point. What do you say, by the way? Let's go next into when you're calling someone that may be someone that's been referred to you. You've got someone on your team, they've given you a referral, they've given you a name off their top 25 list, and you want to give a call to that person. What are the words that we ought to say to those people? And I'll give you kind of a script here for that. Number one, when we call somebody, say, hey, Bill, how are you? Did I catch you at a good time? And he'll say, well, yeah, you caught me at a good time. What can I do for you? I'll say, let me tell you why I was calling. I think you know Bill Jones. You know Bill, don't you? Yeah. Bill and I were sitting down reviewing his business plan. He told me, quite frankly, you're the best teacher that he knows. And I think coming from Bill, that's quite a compliment, don't you? Yeah. He'll hopefully respond in kind. He'll say, yes, I do. And I'll say, well, listen, when we're talking to Bill and I, we've opened up an office here. Our firm's opened up an office here in Phillips Ranch, and we're going to be expanding. We're opening 6 offices the next 6 months. And based on your background and the recommendation from Bill, I thought it probably made sense for you and I at least to get together and meet. I'd love a chance to introduce our firm to you, and I'd love a chance to give you a chance to introduce yourself to me. I don't know whether it would be a fit there on your part, but I definitely think, based on what he's told me, it makes sense you and I get together and meet. When would be a great time for us to do that? I'm open at Monday at 6 or Tuesday at 8. And that's how I've called everybody I've ever got a referral from. I asked the top 25, tell me about this guy. Who's the best salesperson, best teacher, most enthusiastic, most honest, whatever it is. And I'm going to call that person, best business person, most ambitious. And so I'll make the phone call based on that. Hey, Steve, how are you? Did I catch you at a good time? Terrific. Listen, the reason I was calling was I'm working with Bill Jones, and in reviewing a plan with Bill had shared with me that he thought you were probably the most ambitious guy that he knew. And I think, quite frankly, coming from Bill Jones, that's quite a compliment. And don't you agree? And you say, yes. And I'll say, well, let me tell you why I'm calling. Our firm's open an office here in Phillips Ranch. We're going to be opening 6 offices in the next 6 months. And based on what Bill's told me about you, I definitely think it makes sense we get together and meet. I cherish the chance to introduce our firm to you and have you introduce yourself to me. I don't know whether it would be a fit on your part or on ours, but I definitely think it makes sense that you and I get together and meet. And so then I'll close for the time, Monday at 6 or Tuesday at 8. And the big thing, the key statements here is introduce yourself to me, introduce the firm to you, and get together and meet. One of the challenges that you need to know in terms of talking to people is don't ask for a commitment you haven't earned yet. When you've just met somebody, you can't ask them if they're interested in joining our business. They know nothing about it. Or if they're interested in a career change. I don't know if they're interested in a career change yet, and they don't because they haven't heard anything yet. So be leery of using those words and asking immediately. Just ask for the appointment. Don't ask for a career change. I don't know if you want to make part-time money. I don't say any of those things because they don't know anything about us. The answer is going to be no. Are you looking to make a career change? Well, no, I don't know of anything better. Or are you looking to make part-time money? More than likely not. So I want to just talk about getting an appointment and just an introduction. Introduce yourself to me. I'll introduce our firm to you. Sort of the lowest common denominator commitment I can get from somebody when I call them. And from there, move on to really just working on getting an appointment with them and then separating from that outcome, as I talked about earlier, and making the appointment sort of dictate itself. Let the appointment tell me what it is that person needs and show them how our business can get it for them. So I think it's important that you make phone calls that way as well. Okay, let's make a phone call now where we're talking about calling on a referral list. And I think you'll find this is very effective as well. This may be a referral from someone in the market, a client. It may be someone off a top 25 list of a new recruit. Hello, Steve. This is Ed Milet with World Financial Group. You don't know me, but I'm a friend of Chris Kramer's. Chris recently hired on with World Financial Group. I was recently going over Chris's career plan, and your name was mentioned. Chris tells me that you're in the field of retail. What specifically is it that you do? And then I'm going to wait for an answer. Note, now's the time kind of where you relate with someone, get to know them. This should take no longer than 2 minutes after I do that. And I'll say, terrific. That all sounds great, Steve. It sounds like all the good things Chris told me about you is true. Steve, I know this call was impromptu, and I don't want to take a lot of your time, but based on some of the things Chris had told me about you, I feel like you might be interested in hearing from us. World Financial Group is part of the Transamerica WFG conglomerate. Although we already have several offices here in Los Angeles, we're looking to expand very aggressively in this market. With that, we're always looking for clients that desire to get ahead financially and professionals that can help our clients achieve this. Steve, the reason for the call is I'd like to invite you to our corporate overview, which is geared for people who are looking to get ahead with their personal financial situation and people who are looking for a part-time or full-time career that will allow them some freedoms like more or greater compensation, more time, greater compensation. Steve, we have this one Tuesday at 7 and again on Saturday at 9 a.m. Which one of these times and days would work better for you? Okay, great. Great, Steve. If you have a pen and paper, I'd like to give you some information. Again, my name is Ed Milet. My phone number is blankety blankety blank, blankety blankety blank. The address of the office is 981 Corporate Center Drive. Give directions to the office next. Repeat the time and date of the appointment. Say, again, we're going to meet on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and the dress code is professional. That means suit and tie with our firm. I look forward to it. I know Chris will be excited to see you again, and just looking forward to meeting you. Take care. If someone's not been referred to me, but I've got their business card, same sort of phone call. Hey, Steve, how are you? Did I catch you at a good time? Terrific. Let me tell you why I was calling. I've had your business card here for some time. I apologize. I should have called you sooner, frankly. I've been busy with some other matters, but I'm glad I got a chance to reach you now. I've had your card here for some time, and I know that you're the manager at XYZ Company. Our firm's had great success with people in management and retail in the past, and we've opened an office here in Phillips Ranch. We're going to be expanding in the next 6 months, and I thought based on your background, your position there, I thought it might make sense to have you come down and introduce yourself to me, and love to introduce our firm to you. I don't know if there's going to be an interest on your part or mine. But I definitely think it makes sense for us to get together and meet and at least get to know each other. When would be a good time for you? Monday at 6 or Tuesday at 8? And I'm going to say the same thing. You'll realize that my script is exactly the same way. If I've met somebody previously or there's people at my church that I know reasonably well or what have you, I'll say, hey, Steve, listen, I've seen you at church many times before. I'm Ed Milet. I'm the guy that sits there on the back there with the beautiful wife or whatever I might say. And I'll say, listen, I've noticed you. I just appreciate the sort of Christian you are, the way you handle yourself at church. I've noticed the kind of family man you are. And based on how I've noticed you, I just think I'd love a chance to sit down, introduce my company to you, and have you introduce yourself a little bit more personally to me. I have no idea whether there'd be a fit with us on your part or on mine, but I thought just based on I've seen the way you carry yourself and whatnot, I thought it make sense you and I get together and visit. When would be a good time for that to take place? And boom, I've done that over and over and over again. One key I thought for me in building my business was in terms of building outside of my warm market as well, as I constantly wrote letters and notes to people that I respected at church or in business. You meet a teller at the bank that's been good to you, drop them a note and just, I drop a note to the manager of the store and say, hey, Bill Jones, I want to tell you, you've got a guy in there, Frank, he's working for you. He's a teller. I don't know what you're paying that guy, but it's probably not enough. He's unbelievable with your bank. I just think he's a great representative. Sincerely, customer Ed Milet. Mail that to the manager. And you'd be surprised that manager's going to let Frank know that letter came in, and Frank's going to see you the next time, say, Mr. Milet, boy, thank you so much. No one's ever written a letter like that. And if you could do one of those a day, I can call Frank back in a week and say, hey, Frank, Ed Milet, how are you? Listen, by the way, did they give you that raise yet at the bank? They haven't. Well, dadgummit, I've been thinking about you and the kind of guy you are, the way you've always handled me. And you know what? I'd love a chance to have you come down and introduce yourself to me a little bit further. I'd love to introduce our firm to you. I don't know whether there'd be a fit on your part or on ours at this stage, but I definitely think it makes sense you come down and introduce yourself to me. Wouldn't be a good chance for us to get together Monday at 6 or Tuesday at 8. And you'll find that based on that letter I wrote, the rapport I built, that's a guy that'll come down no matter what I'm doing. And he's going to say, the only rejection you're ever going to get or objection is, hey, what is it? What do you guys do? Which we now know means, please give me some credibility. I'll say, hey, good question. By the way, maybe you've heard of Janus or Transamerica or any of these other firms, name 2 or 3. Say, listen, we're in business with most of those guys. We do some of their marketing here in California. Really big company. Bottom line is, I'm not looking for a guy with that background necessarily. I don't know if there's a position with us or a fit, but I definitely think it makes sense you and I visit. Wouldn't be a good time for us to get together for a half hour, 45 minutes, sort of on a casual basis, just to meet each other, tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. Maybe you can refer me to somebody pretty good. Boom, and set up a time to get together with them. And so I constantly got good at that, and I constantly made phone calls that way, and I constantly had appointments because I knew I could get a result when I used those scripts. And when I called people, if I was calling in my own warm market, or if I was calling people's business cards I had, or people I'd met, or people on my team, I could get a result using these scripts. I knew what to say when they said it. Now, by the way, there's a script manual you can get. And again, I want to reiterate, these scripts are just for training purposes because compliance changes all the time. So anything that I'm covering right now, you need to make sure you get approved with your branch manager and that you're saying the right words because compliance changes at any given time. This is just to give you an indication and a shell of what to say. But all words and scripts you use have to be approved through your branch and through the company. This is just suggested speaking, and I want to make sure that you know that because compliance changes at any given time, and I don't know when you're hearing this tape, and so just make sure that you use that stuff. Some objections you may get. Can you just tell me about it over the phone? I'd do both you and I an injustice if I tried to describe it all over the phone. There's material I'd like to share with you to help you get the total picture of things and what I'm doing. Besides, if anything, I assure you, you'll learn a lot about simple ways to save money. Everybody wants to save money, right? So what day is good for you, Tuesday or Wednesday? Can you just mail me some information? I sure could, but let me ask you a question. Are you basically concerned that I may ask you to get involved in something you really don't want to do or maybe waste your time? Well, yeah, I think that's probably part of it. Let me assure you that if I can't show you how to save several hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, I won't even ask you to do business with me. Would that be fair enough? Great. What day would be better for you, Monday or Wednesday? What are you doing? We educate families on personal finance and how to help them save money for retirement or for college. You're concerned about that for your family, aren't you? Well, yes. Great. So we won't waste any of your time. You'll probably learn a great deal. So when can I pop by, Monday or Wednesday? So another one, what are you doing? Thanks for asking. We're in the business of showing families like yours how to become more financially secure rather quickly and painlessly without the need to invest a lot of money. In fact, most families are really surprised how really easy it is. As a matter of fact, many times people ask me to contact their friends for them or family. I'd love just to pop by and leave you enough information for you to make a quality decision whether or not we can be of some help for your family's future. I could stop by Monday around 6 or maybe 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Which would be better for you? So constantly asking questions is the key thing here. Constantly having these words in your arsenal to go through with somebody. And when you have enough of those words, you're going to succeed. Let's talk about meeting with somebody now one-on-one and what we should be saying to them. You think you're going to find an awful lot of times when you meet with someone one-on-one, especially in the client or recruiting process. I believe every presentation should be a recruiting presentation, even if it's in the field. But many times when we're sitting down with folks, they're going to have some resistance to wanting to get involved with us. And their main resistance, remember this, is always going to be, what are people going to think about me? And so I'm constantly showing them, when I sit down with someone one-on-one, it's about 20-25 minute recruiting presentation, and it changes form all the time, but I can tell you it's always company concept, and compensation. That's how I do everything that we do. And then so in the beginning, I can do this on a napkin, I can do it one-on-one, you name it. But when I sit down with somebody one-on-one, the first 10 or 15 minutes, I'm talking about WFG and its track record and its growth and the last 10 years. And I'm showing them various articles about WFG that have been written or whatever I can that's approved material about WFG and their growth and the track record of this giant we're with and how they're one of the most dominant companies on the planet, et cetera, et cetera. And when I'm done with that, the key thing is not making statements, it's asking questions. And so when I ask those questions, I'll often say to them, well, let me ask you a question, Dave. Do you have any challenge whatsoever with doing business or being associated with a company the magnitude of WFG? Great. So what I've done is I've eliminated the objection of credibility. So again, Dave, do you have any challenge? You can think of any reason at all why you wouldn't want to be associated with or do business with a company the magnitude of WFG. Terrific. Great. Now let me show you what we do for families. Most companies are out there to sell you a product or hire a salesperson. That's not what we do. We do is solve people's problems, show them how we can help them. And I go through the debt example, and I'll show them how we can make $1 million difference or whatever it is in debt, and show them the power option, whatever the mortgage program is that we're doing. And I'll show them the tax advantages of being in a taxed advantaged account as opposed to deferred or taxed now. And I'll show them the inexpensive cost of our insurance and what we can save people and just the difference we make in debts, taxes, and insurance for people. And when I'm done with each of them, when I'm done with the debt exam, I'll say, now let me ask you a question, Dave. Based on what you saw, isn't that unbelievable? And he'll go, man, he's blown away. Our business is so great, you guys, that all you got to do is show him what we do. He'll say, man, that's unbelievable. I can't believe it. And I'll say, let me ask you a question, Dave. If you were to sit down and to do that for people that you care about, how do you think they would feel about you if you could do that for them? If it worked exactly like I just said, how do you think they would feel about you? And he's going to say, well, boy, I think they just feel unbelievable. I say, hey, you'd be their hero, wouldn't you? I mean, they'd feel unbelievable. They'd thank you for being there. They'd thank you for years to come if it worked the way I just described it. They'd feel great about you. Let me ask you a second question. And this sounds repetitious, but I'm going to do this all the time just to make the point, Dave. Let me ask you a second question. How would you feel about yourself if you could do that for people? How would that make you feel? Well, I feel like $1 million. I'd feel like I was making a difference. I feel like, I was doing something with my life and contributing and whatever he might say. I say, well, isn't that unbelievable? You'd feel great. I say, number 3, let me ask you a question. We sit down with 10 people, and it worked exactly like I just showed you on the debt side. How many of those 10 people you think are probably going to be smart enough to do business with you, take advantage of it? He's going to say, well, I don't know. I figure probably all of them. And I'd say, so let me get this straight. By the way, what you just told me is the people you're going to see are going to feel great about you. You're going to feel like $1 million because you did it, and everyone's going to do business with you or they'd be crazy not to. Can you think of any one reason why we wouldn't move forward and get this business started based on that? No. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the VUL or any of our other financial products that might be involved. And I'm going to say, hey, listen, let me ask you a question. How would people feel? How would you feel about yourself? And how many of them would do business? Based on that, I can't think of any reason. I do it on all 3. And then I'm going to show them how we're compensated. And I'm going to say, let me ask you a question. You're an employee, right? I am. How do you, and I'm going to show them the business, I'm going to show them, the cash flow quadrant, rich dad, poor dad, and the 4 quadrants of owning a business, employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. And I'm going to say, as an employee, do you like the fact that your employer controls where you live? Because he does, doesn't he? The sort of vacations you take, the time with your family. Your employer controls to some degree the schools your children get educated in. Do you feel good about that? Do you want to continue that plan? Well, no, not at all. I don't feel good about it. Do you have a written plan that can get you out of where you're at? Do you have a written plan to get out of debt? Do you have a written plan to get financially independent? And you guys, you've got to be willing to ask these questions and not make statements. My way that I get people to commit things is I ask them questions when I meet with them one-on-one, and I'm willing to have silence until they answer. And I just learned to shut up. I've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I use them accordingly. And so I'm going to do that. And I'll say, let me ask you another question. If I could show you how to go out and make $250,000 a year, have your own business, control your own time, have residual income, own the business, if I could potentially show you how to do that, is that something you'd be interested in doing? Terrific. Now, now I'm going to show them how it works. And I say, if it works that way, can you think of one reason why we wouldn't get started? No. Great. Let's get started, man. Let's start this thing up. And so we're going to start up his business. And that's how I meet with people one-on-one. Now, I've got the materials changed at any given time, but it's a matter of just asking those closing commitments. It's disturbing them enough that I ask the questions. I'm a professional at asking those questions. Those are the questions that I ask. And once someone's recruited, now let me tell you what shifts. This is how you thought. They're now thinking to themselves, well, what's everyone going to think about me? I want to wait till I'm licensed to see people. I want to learn more. And I'm going to tell them up front, look, Dave, now that you're started here, let me tell you something. There's a winning profile and a losing profile. The losing one actually makes more common sense, which is I want to learn more. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to make sure I know everything before I go talk to people. I want to be able to answer their questions. I just want you to know that as commonsensical as that may seem, it is the losing profile for a few reasons. First off, if you build a business based on that principle, it's going to be about 45 years before you've got 10 people on your team if everybody waits, wouldn't they? Number two, let me tell you something up front, Dave. Most of the people in your market, even though you're a good man, they like and trust you, they're not going to do business with you because they know you as the school teacher. They know you as the attorney. They don't know you as the financial professional. What you've got with them is credibility and trust, but what you don't have with them is expertise in this field. And they're going to think up front, well, you've been doing this 3 months. Why would I invest my money with you? Why would I do my mortgage with you? And so what's important is that you get out of the way of your warm market, you bring me, and what you introduce to the equation is credibility and trust, and I bring expertise. And that's the best environment in the world to help people make decisions that best serve them, is by doing that. The great thing, Dave, is you're going to get out of the way of your market one time, and you're going to be in the markets of other people forever. It's a great exchange principle, but you've got to understand that principle. And obviously, I've got expertise and you've got credibility. I hope you do. We're going to find out here. If people like and trust you, this thing's going to go unbelievable as we get started, and we're going to make a huge difference for people. And again, remember, the people that you're going to see are going to thank you for being there. You're going to feel like $1 million for being there, and most of them are probably going to want to do something with us, aren't they? As we said earlier. Remember that? Wouldn't you agree? Terrific. Now, let's move forward. Let me set up your business for you as we start to make this contact list. First off, let me say a few things to you. This thing is more like, I think to some degree, it's let's pretend you're opening up a restaurant. And instead of getting into this business today, you would plop $350,000 down to open up an Italian restaurant. And if you've opened up that restaurant, let's say the grand opening is 4 weeks from now on a Friday night. It's going to be the grand opening. The whole community is going to be coming in. Prior to that grand opening, if you've invested money and you've leveraged things and you've put your reputation on the line, wouldn't you have a pre-grand opening with people that you trust and respect to get their feedback to let you know? You'd want them to come in, wouldn't you? You would do that. Okay. The reason you would do that is you'd want them to come down and taste the food and give you feedback and the ambiance and the service and just everything about the restaurant there, the preparation, everything about how they're treated. And you want them to give you feedback. Now you want them there for a few reasons. One, you want their feedback, don't you? You want their opinion of how you can improve things and make it better, make sure this business is really for you. Number two, though, you want some of them to go, wow, this is unbelievable. And when they leave, they go, I just ate at the greatest restaurant. You wouldn't believe it. You got to go down there next week. It's got its grand opening. And they leave as a word of mouth referral for you and build your business. A third thing they might do is they go, boy, I want to come back here and eat regularly. Now you've got a client or a customer. So you want that as well. And then fourth, you may have some people get in there and go, this thing's going to rock. This is unbelievable. We need to expand this. How do I get into business with you? And those are the reasons. And then there's people that are centers of influence you want just because their reputation. If they believe in what you're doing, your business is going to soar. So you've got a multitude of agendas, don't you? But the main one is to get feedback. Well, there's no difference with this. In this business, it's the greatest business in the world because you haven't had to invest anything, and the upside's huge. If the restaurant fails, you're bankrupt. This fails, you lose nothing, just some time. And you're going to get a world-class financial education. So the risk is nothing here to get this thing going, but the upside's probably even more than it could ever be on a restaurant. Certainly the residuals are. But the reality is that the same principles apply. Your grand opening is going to probably be in about 4, 5, 6 weeks, 8 weeks when you've got all your licenses in place and you've learned everything. But prior to that, we've got to run them through the restaurant. The same people that you would invite down to the restaurant need to be run through your business here. And we're going to go get them some exposure for the same reasons. We want their opinion, their feedback. Is this for you? We want some of them leading, referring you people. We want some of them to come back as clients. We'd like some of them to be business partners. Our job is just to get them down to the restaurant, and that's either bring it to them one-on-one or have them come down to the office here. And again, we've got no agenda beyond that. Our agenda is just to get the appointment, just to have them look, tell them the story, have them see our restaurant, look at our menu, our ambiance, what we do for people, our service, that kind of stuff, and let the chips fall where they may. And you're going to find out it's going to turn out a lot like a baseball game in order to win. Most people make the mistake of joining here thinking everything's got to be a home run. Everyone's got to be interested. And they put this pressure on themselves. I want you to know up front, I don't care if anybody becomes a client or anybody here ends up going into business with you. I want you to learn and get trained. My job as your trainer, I have one role here. My role is to make you look great with these people, that they're impressed with your association with our firm and with me. Nothing more than that. That's my total job as your trainer. And by the way, this is important to tell somebody because their number one fear is that these people aren't going to like it and it's going to reflect poorly on them. So I let them know up front, my number one job is to impress them with you and your association with us. What wouldn't impress them? High pressure sales, exaggeration, heavy recruiting tactics, anything like that, lack of preparation, showing up late. None of those things are going to happen. They're going to be impressed. I'm going to treat them with respect. And so it's going to end up like a baseball game. My job is that we at least get on base. Not everyone has to be a home run. Getting on base in our business, Dave, is real simple. We go in there, they say, you know what, this is a great restaurant. I don't want to be in business with it, though. I like what I'm doing. I don't need any financial help at all. I don't know anybody that would be interested, but man, I'm impressed. That's a base hit. My job is every time we're at least going to get on base. We leave and they're impressed, they feel good, and you got trained. Number 2 could be a double. And we get on second base, it's, boy, you know what, I'm totally impressed. And you know what, when they leave here, they go, I've got 4 or 5 people I know dying to start their own business. I know this guy needs to get out of debt. This lady over here wants to invest some money, and we get you referrals. My hope is that for every 10 appointments we go on, I get you somewhere between 50 to 60 referrals, so that by the time you're ready to go, we've got a couple hundred people for you to go see. That's my job. And you know what? We're going to hit some triples too. And some of them are going to go, boy, I'm impressed. I know 5, 6, 10 people I should refer. And you know what? I don't want to go into business with you, but man, I'd like to take advantage of one of those strategies just to make sure my financial house is in order. I might need to get my debt redone, or I like that VUL you talked about, or a plan. I want to have a written financial game plan. And so we're going to get a lot of triples. And then we're going to hit some home runs too, grand slams, where they're going to say, boy, I like it. I know some people would be interested. I'd love to be a client. You know what? I think I want to be in business with you. And you know what? I know this. 100% of the time they're going to be impressed. I'd say 85 to 90% of the time we're going to get to second base, though. And we're going to grow your business when we go out together. And you know what? We're going to have some triples in there. Probably, I would say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 60% of the appointments, we're going to get some triples. And maybe 15 to 25% of the people we're going to hit some home runs with. So knowing that going in, success is defined by one thing here, Dave, and that is that they're impressed when we leave, and that we do a bunch of appointments. And so we're going to get out there and make these calls. And then I arm him with the scripts, and I role play it. And we're going to role play that. I'm going to spend anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour role playing the scripts, 3 or 4 of them with this new person. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to say, now you do it. And of course, they're not going to do it right because they're new and nervous, and it's not reflection to them. And then I do it again. I say, you do it. I do it, you do it. I do it, you do it. And you role play it until they can do it 5 times without the scripts in front of them. And now it's reflexive for them, and they can go out and they now believe they can get a result. I'm going to say, that was great. That was unbelievable. You're going to do awesome. I know you're going to get good results. And by the way, Dave, up front, realize some people are going to reserve the right to not understand what you're saying, or the timing's going to be bad. And don't take that rejection personally. They're not rejecting you. If you were a waiter and we were at a restaurant all day long and we had a great meal, at the end of the meal, the waiter comes back over and you were the waiter and you said, can I get you some more water? And you begin to pour the water. And I put my hand over my glass and go, nope, not thirsty. You're not going to run away from the table with your tail tucked between your legs thinking, oh, this restaurant doesn't work. I'm a bad waiter. This isn't for me. I don't like it. That would be ridiculous. You wouldn't connect the event that I'm not thirsty to you not being good at it or not being valuable. It's just simply I wasn't thirsty. There's no connection there at all. All we're trying to find out is whether they're hungry. And they may not be hungry. And if they're not hungry, it doesn't mean the business doesn't work, doesn't mean you're not any good, doesn't mean this isn't for you. It just means they're not hungry. It has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with the business. And a certain percentage of people aren't going to be hungry. But if you use those scripts, the likelihood of that happening is a small percentage of the time, although it will happen. I just want you to know that up front. And again, we don't want to pressure anybody. We want to impress them. And so our outcome is just to get an appointment. And I'll go through the keys I went through earlier. Scenario of disaster. I'm going to go through all the phone calling advice that I started with you guys in the beginning of this tape with this new recruit. And more than likely, he's going to leave. He's going to leave some of them as reference messages. Some he's going to call in the scripts. I'm going to call the 4 or 5 people that he said I would call as a reference. He's going to call the other 15 to 20. And my goal for the first week in the business is we have 5 to 8 one-on-one appointments and 4 or 5 people coming down to the meeting, or the reverse of that. But somewhere around 10 or 15 people is an average start in terms of appointments, and we'll probably see 80% of them. There'll be some cancellations and some changes. Someone really getting after this probably sets up 20, 25 appointments the first week, and someone that's a slow starter is going to set up 1, 2, or 3, and that's okay too. It's just a matter of their pace and what they're comfortable doing. But I want him to know that we're there to impress and we're going to help him, and that things are going to go well in his business as we make phone calls. And the key thing is being able to ask the right questions and to have him scripted and to have him off to a fast start and to get him success. And I'm certainly going to go do his FLS immediately, and he should become a client, I'm hoping, because you can't have your own house a mess when you're telling other people to clean theirs up. And plus we want to serve him and make a difference for him as well, and he can go make money almost immediately. What we're going to do next is we're going to cover the hiring interview, what I call the Filter 4 script, how to properly script a hiring interview with somebody. And again, it is just the series of asking people the right questions. And so what we've covered so far is how to make phone calls, how to call in referrals, how to call your own market, how to call people's business cards. We've talked about all the scenarios of how you make calls properly, how to overcome the objections, how to invite to the meeting. We've talked about how do you take a new recruit through the process of being prepared to get into their market, with the restaurant example I gave you and the baseball example, and the fact that they're going to be impressed. All the things we've talked about in physiology and being in a peak state. And now what we're going to talk about is how to recruit them. What do you say once they say, yes, I want to do it? So they've been to an open house, they've been to our office, and they say, yes, I want to come back for an interview. You can get this script, but I want to take you through briefly through how I do the interview. It's very brief, it's very to the point. It's just a series of asking the right questions. You need to learn to do this word for word. If I was you in the beginning, I'd just have the script right in front of me with a notepad, and I'd answer those questions, ask the questions, and write the answers in right next to them. This is critical because this interview is where you're going to set the standard of what it means to play on your team, of what you expect from them, on how big a deal this is, and the degree to which you set a high standard, and their excitement and their belief, frankly, even being a little bit intimidated, will be the standard to which they'll react. And so you've got to react to this interview properly. So the first thing I'm going to say is hey, Dave, great to have you back in here again. Dave, what intrigued you the most about what you heard last night? And I'm going to allow him to elaborate on what intrigued him the most. I'm not going to start with anything but that. What intrigued you the most about what you heard last night? I want him to start out talking about all the things he liked and what intrigued him and what piqued his interest. He thought he was coming in to ask me a bunch of questions. But the person that wins every conversation asks the questions. There's got to be someone asking and answering. And I'm going to be the one asking, and he's going to be the one answering. So what intrigued you the most about what you heard last night? Next, tell me a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, education, family background, etc. And so I want him talking about himself. I want him bragging about himself. The other thing I want to do is I want to see whether I want to recruit him, whether he's qualified, how long has he lived in the area, who does he know, what's his credibility like, is he in the market? And people love to talk about themselves, and it's a way that we build rapport and connect. Great. Well, gosh, sounds like you got a great background. You know a lot of people here in this area. Let me ask you a question. With what you're doing now, what do you like least about your current career path? What is it that you don't like? And I'm going to have him elaborate on all the things he doesn't want. I want him to fully associate in the beginning with what intrigued him about us and what he likes least about what he's currently doing. And so he's going to elaborate on that. That's great. I mean, obviously, I think, and whatever he says, well, I'm just not making the kind of money I want to make. I'd like to see more money. And I'm then going to talk about how he can do that here. I mean, again, this is a business about finding out what somebody wants and showing them how we can get it for them. So that's his hot button. Or I don't have enough time with my family, or I drive too far to work, or whatever it is. And then I'm going to show him how our business can get what he's missing here. He can get it for him. Terrific. So that's what you like least, and obviously you can see how you can get that fixed here. What do you see as the benefits to associating with us here with Transamerica World Financial Group? What do you think the benefits are? And I'm going to have him elaborate on that. And then my next question to him is going to be, as you know, this is a statement and a question. This is important, word for word. As you know, our firm has an outstanding reputation in the marketplace, and we intend to continue in that regard into the future. With that in mind, why, in your words, is this something we should give a try? And I'm going to have him tell him that. I've let him know we got a great standard, we got a great reputation, and we want to continue that. With that in mind, why should he be giving this a try? So I've got him telling me what intrigued him about himself. I've got him telling me what he doesn't like about his job, what the benefits are with us. You can tell I'm asking questions where he's selling himself. And then I'm going to ask him basically why we should do this. So now he's going to sell me on why him. Let me ask you a question. Other than training or licensing, do you have any questions I could answer for you? Wait for answer. Great. One of the first things we're going to cover in the recruiting and training process is your actual training schedule. And so I eliminate those objections. Steve, listen, we have two sorts of career paths with World Financial Group. One is someone who wants to be an agent only, like a real estate agent, let's say, at maybe like a Century 21. We train them to deal with our clients, and they can make a great living as an agent dealing with clients. The other sort of person is trained as an agent but aspires to become a broker, or what we would call a marketing director with us, and run and own one or several offices. This person is a broker and at one point enters our outstanding management training program. Brokers have a chance, as you saw in the presentation, to override their team of agents like a real estate broker might. Which career path do you see yourself on? I want them to know that they could go a path just to see clients if they choose to, because some people are just blown away by recruiting, don't want to do it, and if they're that short-sighted initially, then we'll let them do it. The way I worded that, he's probably more likely to want to become a broker, which he should be. That's what all visionaries want to do here. And I'm going to let him tell me. And I'm going to say, okay, great. Recruiting someone into an industry as regulated and as supervision intensive as ours is makes for a difficult task. I like what you've had to say, and you really seem like the sort of person who possesses the potential to be successful in our environment. You know what I've noticed about you is your integrity, the way you talked about your family, your background. And I'm going to tell him, you can do this because. And I'm going to say, you know what, you've been referred by Dave, and clearly we have a lot of faith in Dave, or we wouldn't have recruited Dave into the organization in the first place. World Group Securities also gave him a spot at our broker-dealer as well. Based on that, we feel comfortable moving forward with you at this stage. However, in our business, we have a 48-hour sort of probationary period where you're hired, and we do intend to work with you. On our broker-dealer side, though, where you get your securities license, we have some steps we require you to take before applying there. And then I'm going to outline the 8 filters: making a contact list, doing a business plan, doing their own financial program review, qualifying for Upstart School. And I'm going to sell him the dream on doing those things. We say, now, if you do those things, then we're ready to take a look at the broker-dealer side. Right now, we're just simply talking about joining the agency. And so that's true in your business. You don't want everyone getting their securities license unless they're willing to fulfill steps, because once they've got that license, they represent you in the marketplace. You've got a super supervise them. You're responsible for what they do. So the way I look at it, guys, listening to this, if I've got a live adult who doesn't have enough credibility, if I've called 5 or 6 people and all of them won't meet with us, that lets me know this person isn't liked and trusted by very many people. If you've got a 35 or 40-year-old woman or man in front of you and they don't have 5, 10, 15, 20 people at a minimum that'll sit down with you to listen to what they're doing just simply because they're doing it, this is someone without credibility. And this is someone that you should not have selling securities for you. So that's why that probationary period, that's why it's so important to call their references, get out into the market, see people, have them come back to you and say, look, I called 6 people with those scripts you gave me. I've got 3 appointments set up. That's indicative of someone who follows instruction, who's in alignment, who's going to work, and who has credibility. And so that first 48 hours is critical. And that's why we do that. Now, a lot of you go, well, you know what? I just do it my own way. Well, your own way is not going to make you financially independent. Your own way isn't time proven. This is the way to do it. Any variance from the specifics and the precision we've talked about on this tape will result in something that is not the success that you're wishing to achieve. All right. I don't see any reason for us not to move forward. Do you? Terrific. When we recruit agents for you, we put them on your team by connecting you and them with your code number. On your application, I need a minimum of 3, preferably 8 to 10 good character references. These should be people that are in our market as well. I want references of people married with children because we find they're the best sort of gauge as to a new associate's credibility with what is our normal market. Even your own family can serve as qualifies as good references. You're being officially recruited pending WFG's review of your application. My job on a local level is to confirm a few of your references, and we're off to the races. However, this is a necessary evil that any quality firm will go through. I know all of them will confirm my decision to recruit. As a matter of fact, you should let them know sometime today to expect a call from me. That's where they use that script I showed you earlier. Or one of my colleagues. And let them know to brag up and down about you because this becomes a part of your file with us. By the way, if I was you, I'd put references down to the kind of people I would think someday might possess great potential business partners or maybe potential clients, like we talked about with the restaurant earlier. That way I can sort of serve as a great, PR person for your business on the call. We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and I can confirm the reference and that's what I usually do is I sort of pique their interest in what you're doing. We actually have people asked to come down to an open house or get together with us one-on-one to do a financial review. So put down the sort of reference. That way I can help you out to do the company's due diligence and at the same time maybe set up some appointments for you. Finally, our next step in these 8 filters I've showed you is to get together for a 90-minute business planning meeting. Right now, you're probably anxious and excited, but at the same time, it's normal to be foggy at this stage. What do you do next? How does this whole thing work, etc.? And that's normal. Don't worry about it. Our next step is to complete these probationary 8 filters tonight and tomorrow sometime. We'll get together and do a business plan further, and I want your spouse to be aware. I want Sally to be aware of what we're doing and to go through some marketing strategies, so a business plan. It'll probably clear up about 70% of the fog right now that you see in terms of how all this will come together. And again, man, you're going to be great at this. I can already see that. Most of this fog is going to be alleviated. Just realize that this is new and there's going to be some fogginess for the first few weeks. However, tomorrow night's meeting will go a long way in terms of painting a clear path to success. Finally, we'll have you complete your own financial review with one of our associates so that you're very familiar with our process with the client and you truly become as clear and as passionate as we are in terms of the difference we make for a family. It really is incredible. Furthermore, you can't recommend to others that they do a financial house cleaning if you haven't at least reviewed whether your needs any cleaning. The first question everyone's going to ask you, by the way, is if you've done this yourself, and you need to be able to say yes. And what we do there is we confirm the time for the follow-up, emphasize the Upstart School and receive their journal and those things that they're officially recruited. Confirm the appointment with a specific time for the next 48 hours in their home, and do not allow the new associate to leave without a time scheduled. If they don't know their spouse's schedule, let them know we get booked quickly to pick a time with you and to rearrange their spouse's schedule to make it. So the primary thing here is they leave knowing you're going to call 4 or 5 people. You've role-played all those scripts with them. They understand you're going to impress people. The restaurant, the baseball example, they're going to go use the scripts. They believe they can get a result. They're excited about things. They're going to call 5 or 6 people. Tomorrow night, you're going to sit down, do a business plan, do their financial program, get started. And you can do the top 25 list and the role play at their house if you want to delay that process. If you want, I like to do it in the interview and get it done. And then the most important thing is no one ever leaves you without another time to see you. Never say, okay, call me tomorrow and we'll set it up, or call me tonight. They leave with a time and a calendar, and they call you to rearrange it if they have to. But so if they say, I just don't know her schedule, go, well, look, let's put down 6 o'clock tomorrow night. If that doesn't work, you call me. But for now, I'm going to be at your place tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, or you guys are going to come here to the office tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. You can do this at the office or their home, but both husband and wife do need to be there in the field. Very, very, very important that you make sure that that's a priority for you, that they always leave with an appointment and they can reconfirm if they need to. One thing that's important that I want to kind of finish with is the field training process. And when we're in the field, now that we've got these appointments set up and we've gone out, I want you to know a couple things that's critical in the field. And that is the appointment is made when this new recruit edifies the trainer. Then when we go to a new house, that recruit sits down. We want to make sure a few things. One, we sit down at the kitchen table. Number two, that you and the recruit sits down next to each other, and that the husband and wife sit down next to each other on the other side of the table where you're facing each other. That way, in the same visual view, the client sees both you and the recruit, and they can't look at each other and roll their eyes. They have to look at you, both husband and wife. And the appointment is made in this instance when the new recruit says, listen, Sally and Bob, I got to take a minute here, and I want to thank Ed Milet for taking time out of his busy schedule to be here tonight and to train me and to hopefully maybe show you guys some things you're going to be interested in. And I know I told you when I called that I want you to take a look at what I'm doing, ask a lot of questions, but I want you to know something. I'm very serious about this. I'm probably going to be making a career change out of XYZ company over the next XYZ amount of months, I hope. And the number one reason I'm doing that is because of this guy right here, Ed Milet, sitting next to me. He did such an amazing job for Mary and I, and we're so impressed with this company did. I felt obligated to share this with you guys, and I just wanted to publicly thank Ed for being here. You're going to love what he has to say. He's a very busy guy. He's outstanding at what he does. I'm just excited to get to share this hour with you. Ed, go ahead, and I want to turn this over to you. And so that's where the appointment is made. If that person introduces you as a superstar, as the doctor, as the expert, then the client sits up straight. The mistake people make is they'll thank the client. Well, that lets them know they're here to check us out. We want immediately to play offense and to thank the trainer. And that's not in any way to demean the client, but we've got to let them know where the priorities lie. And if I'm introduced that way, this appointment's over with. And the key thing is that you role play with your new recruit how to introduce you. And they have to say things they believe. But on the drive over to the appointment, I'm saying, look, the whole appointment is that you get us to the kitchen table. They're going to want to sit on the couch. You got to get us over to their kitchen table. That's your job. You know them. And so make sure they drive. The recruit gets them to the kitchen table, and then the whole appointment is made with the right words in the introduction. If you're introduced properly, you're going to recruit and sell an awful lot of people. If you use the scripts properly, you're going to do that. If you overcome the objections, and you're going to be off to the races. Again, this is just a business of words, and you got to take that new recruit out that you just hired on that presentation I just described 5 or 6 or 10 times, and they're going to learn it. They're going to hear you say the same words over and over again. Then spend 5 or 6 appointments of 2 hours each, one-on-one, training them the words, role-playing it back and forth. And you've now taught and built someone independent of you, and you're off to the races. And they learn Hopkins, and they read Maxwell's books, John Maxwell's leadership books, and Tom Hopkins on how to talk to people. And this thing is off to the races. The biggest thing in the world is to learn the words. I know this tape is repetitious. It's sometimes hard to hear, but I think over and over, if you hear the words, you are likely to get a given result. The time has never been better than it is right now. The company's on a great roll. You're in the right place at the right time. Knowledge is not power unless it's applied. And this is, again, just your decision to choose a set of behaviors that serve you. You can do this. I know you can do this. We've got the scripts. You can read them. You can role play them. If you don't make this thing happen, it's on you. We're giving you all the equipment to succeed. You can make this thing go. If you need help, ask for it. Don't hide out. Be accountable. Talk to the people you need to talk to. There is no shame in not knowing what to do, and there's no shame in being fearful. There is shame in staying in that state. You've got to change what you're doing to change what you're getting, and I know you're capable of it. I believe in you. We're here to help you. Let's go win. Take care.